the Hobbit film was really terrible. Anyway, we're not here to talk about those today.
No,
we need to stop getting sidetracked already.
I'm sorry. We haven't even started. We've got to say hello, everyone.
Do we?
Hello, everyone.
Hello, people.
Hello. We're back.
Welcome back to Action Film Life.
Episode 2.
It's definitly not 2.
I think 2?
It's episode 11.
Okay, well, we'll see who's closer.
I think as person who's been editing all of them, I would hope it's me. But you know what? I don't know at this point, Lottie.
Well,
we've got. Yeah,
answer in the comments if I'm right, everyone.
Oh my god! If I just get a slew of comments just going, Lottie is right.
Well, I mean, you can't argue with the people.
I can't argue with the people. I try, and they just get louder and more aggressive, and it just gets scary, and I have to run away. That's
what happens when we disagree.
Oh yeah. That's why I've just abandoned you in my house so many times, because we argue and I just run out my own house.
He just runs away and I'm like, well, guess I'll be watching the film today.
Yeah. Spoiler alert, I haven't watched any of the films for any of these lists, because every time me and Lottie get in the same room, we have an argument and I run away crying.
Yes. Yeah, it happens very, very early on. He barely gets past the opening credits.
No, we don't even get to the film. We just open the door to each other. We're like, fucking.
Oh dear, we've gone on a tangent already.
That's not what happens. What happens is we sit down and we watch all 5 Indiana Jones movies back to back.
Yes, we did. No,
not
back to back.
Our minds.
we didn't watch them back. We watched them all of them on different days. Wait, did we watch 2 back to back?
We watched the first 2 back to back.
Oh God! Why did we do that?
Because
I'm sure there was
time.
Okay, there was a reason. That probably wasn't the best idea.
No, because by the time Temple of Doom came around, I was losing my mind.
That film will make you do that.
Yeah, that film will. We're talking about all 5 Indiana Jones films because they've apparently finished them now. There are no more Indiana Jones films.
Please don't jinx that.
Look, that's what they are saying. I mean, Harrison Ford is fucking ancient at this point.
They've been saying that since number 3, Fred.
Yes, but they at least took like a long time to put number 4 out. And then it was just like, oh yeah, number 5? Oh, he's about to die. So yeah, I guess we do number 5. But we're going to get onto number 5 much, much later. But yes, this episode is looking at all 5 Indiana Jones films, from Raiders of the Lost Ark all the way through to Dial of Destiny back from 2023. Less woo indeed. Yeah, had you seen any of these films before, Lottie?
I had seen the first 4 before.
The first 4?
I saw the first 3 at, fairly young age when you get around to... No way, I wasn't young. How old was I then? In my mid-hundreds. Watched them all, probably on VHS.
Oh,
and then
VHS.
I watched the 4th one in the cinema. How about you?
Oh my god, you actually went to the cinema to see Crystal Skull.
Did you not? I thought I went with you.
What? Jesus Christ, was that well, when was that? Like 20... I want to say 2012 or something, was it?
Oh, maybe not then.
I don't know. I can't remember when Crystal Skull came out, and I've been really stupid and not written the dates that they came out on my script here. Well, my notes.
I don't remember when it came out, but I do remember watching it in the cinema.
Now... well, okay, maybe I did watch it in the cinema then, but I was in the same boat that you were in going into this, because I'd seen the first 4. I had not yet seen Dial of Destiny, and to be honest, I had only seen Temple of Doom maybe like once before. Raiders, Crusade, and Crystal Skull I'd probably seen multiple times, but Crystal Skull not for any good reason. But Yeah,
You've seen Crystal Skull multiple times?
I think it's just one of those, like, if it was on TV, like when I lived in other flats when they had Sky Cinema and stuff like that, if Indiana Jones was on, I was just like, it's a joke, it's passable, I'll just put it on as background noise. So that sort of thing, yeah.
I didn't realise that. I think I've only watched all of them once before we rewatched them.
Oh, fair enough then. So it's kind of fresh viewing for you going in, wasn't it?
Yeah, a lot of the things I'd forgotten.
Right. Well, seeing as we are doing a glorified 5-star rating system with our tier list, I thought it only fitting to fit one film into each letter slot, as it were. So I've got no duplicate letter slots. We literally S, A, B, C, D, and there's one film going in each category for me. It's 5 films.
Interesting. The not will still not happen for me.
That will not still happen. Still what? Not.
Not. No, it is not the case for me. Is what I think I was trying to say.
It's
not sure what happened there. Yeah. Not me. There we go.
Not me. That won't happen with me. Hey.
No.
But I think we ought to start this whole horrible charade of Indiana Jones. And I'll start my timer as well. With Raiders of the Lost Ark, which
Indy 1, as we call it.
Yeah, not actually like called Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's simply just called Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Raiders of the Lost Ark, yeah. Well, they probably weren't thinking trilogy back then, maybe.
Yeah, even though George Lucas was used to making trilogies, I think he was probably maybe, I'm not sure what the timeline is, like where he was with Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, but
I don't know, because this was was this early 80s or mid 80s Raiders?
I think this was 81, yeah.
Okay, well maybe it was smack in the middle of it.
Smack in the middle of the Star Wars phenomenon. But yeah, Steven Spielberg and George Lucas team up to make Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. IMDb give it an 8.4 and Metacritic give it an 86 out of 100. I
think that's the highest we've had.
They are very high, yeah.
Why did the Ring not get that? No, the One not get that high.
We have definitely not watched the Ring.
I don't think I could handle the Ring. No. Yeah. Maybe, why did the One not get that?
Yeah. The One is a certified classic.
It's so good.
We will always be salty
just
about the One.
Just as good as Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. Better, I'd say.
Yeah. Right. To spare Lottie her embarrassment, I'm reading all the synopses for this film.
Oh, thank goodness. I don't think I could do 5.
Yeah, there are 5 films to get through as well. So we want to kind of like snap through and try and get these. In 1936, archaeologist and adventurer Shut Up Indiana Jones is hired by the US government to find the Ark of the Covenant before the Nazis can obtain its awesome powers.
In!
You immediately started laughing. I was like, I can hear you.
I tried to be silent laughing, but then I realised I don't care if I put you off. You always put me off.
Yeah, it's like I can see you out the corner of my eye, and I can hear you slowly, like lightly giggling, and just like shut up. Right, yes. So it's all about finding the Ark of the Covenant, which is the burial case of the 10 Commandments, essentially.
It used to be, taken from place to place until I think they were lost in Jerusalem.
Well, I can never remember the city of Tanis or something, isn't it? That it's a city swallowed up by sands, and that's supposedly the last resting place of the Ark.
Yes, I think they decided that it's pretty much close to Babylon.
Now, there's a lot here that I really like this film. Really like this film, but there are some glaring.
I like the opening. It starts right in the action. You get the classic rock falling and him running away, and despite everyone just saying, "Duck, Indy, duck! It will just go over your head."
Well, yes, there's that. There's very young Alfred Molina, Doc Octopus, as his cocky sidekick who tries to double cross him as well.
Yeah, just don't double cross Dr. Jones. You'll get arrows through the eye.
You get arrows, straight through your face and every other part of your body, and it's just not very fun. It's just not very fun to be
Don't
Alfred
try
Molina.
it.
Yeah, it's I got to admit I really like this film. I really and hot take on the Indiana Jones front there. Liking Raiders of the Lost Ark, Fred fucking hell. What are you doing with yourself? Yeah, go for it. You were about to say.
I was going to say, it's a good globe-trotting adventure. You start off with your hero. He goes through all that to get whatever he was trying to get in that temple at the start, some sort of statue, only to have it taken away from him immediately and him having to run away with nothing.
Oh, yeah, he gets it stolen by Belloc, doesn't he? Belloc. The slimy...
Belloc the Frenchman.
Belloc the Frenchman, who is very slimy and very...
Wears a lot of white.
Yeah, in the jungle.
Which
not
is
a good look.
very... I was going to say, it's very brave of him. Like, this very confident man wears a lot of white.
It's a bold look, sir.
It's a bold look. You could easily spill something down. You jungle juice from trees. You could get all over that.
I'm pretty sure they don't call it jungle juice, Lottie.
Jungle juice from, from trees just falling on you.
That's called sap, but yes, okay.
And then in the desert, it's just full of sand.
I always... Yes, of course, you will just get a very sandy suit. At least it's not linen. Great.
It was linen.
Oh, it was?
He just took better care of it than...
Which says something about that villain, that he's actually taking very good care of a linen suit in the deserts of Egypt.
That is a man with a lot of resources.
Yeah.
I think that's why they chose that, so to let me know as an audience member, that's a very confident man with a lot of resources.
And that makes him a terrifying villain.
He was, because Indiana Jones looked like a mess the whole thing.
Yeah, Harrison Ford is a sweaty, scruffy mess throughout the entire film.
Apart from when he is Dr. Jones, the professor of archaeology, with loads of admirers and men throwing apples at him.
Yeah. The really, because he has that adoration of this classroom, and then there's that one guy who's planted in among all of them who has the apple.
Just staring at him dreamily, holding this apple.
Just okay, and he awkwardly dumps it on his desk on the way out as well.
Yeah, it's I can't even look you in the eye. Just take my apple as a symbol of my love. He doesn't even eat it, or does he?
No, I don't think he does.
No.
But then the government asks him to go and find the Ark. Government asking him to go find the Ark makes it seem like some sort of James Bond-esque sort of
it is. It feels like it was setting him up like that. But I suppose James Bond was probably the closest this film had at the time, because there wasn't really any Indiana Jones before this. So maybe that's how they marketed it.
Yeah, like a different sort of Bond movie.
Yeah, like an American Bond.
Yeah, it has the air of all Bond movies, but with probably the easiest, as I say, the easiest villain to write, because the audience is going to hate them. But if Nazis are the villain, then
I thought you were going to say the French. Because we were talking about Belloc.
Sorry, Nazis, you're number 2 in the villain stakes to the French.
The French. I was like, Fred, that's a bit much.
That's a bit, yeah.
But yeah, you're right, Nazis. Yeah, pre-war Nazis. Still evil.
Oh yeah, well, it's only 1936. They're ramping up to their full evilness,
Yeah.
They're ramping up to full evilness. They're kind of captained by this slimy Heimlich guy
with his coat hanger.
His coat hanger and his kind of aggressive and sadistic torture techniques and stuff
wearing
like that.
Full leather, including a leather hat, in the desert.
Even in the desert, yes. He is again, mate, as not like the commanding bad guy. Like, obviously Belloc is kind of in charge, and there is a Nazi commander, though I can't remember his name. Heimlich is the one that stands
Probably
out.
Franz.
Yeah, Franz or Hans or something like that.
Yeah, Franz Hans.
Franz Hans, that's his name, yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to put that up now. I don't know what his actual name is in the film.
Captain Franz Hans.
Commandant Franz Hans. But yeah, he's a delightfully not delightfully, but he's really vicious and slimy. And his introduction when he goes and interrogates Marion after Indy and Marion meet up.
Yes.
Where he tries to just basically just set fire to the. He just tries to.
He just wanted to torture her to get They needed her necklace, I think.
Yeah, the Staff of Ra is. Well, the headpiece of the Staff of Ra is basically her necklace, and it's kind of just like
it's a clue to find out where the Ark is.
Yeah, the kind of thing about this film that's been pointed out many times before, so I'm not really saying anything new here, is that Indiana Jones is not really effective of the plot. Like, he doesn't affect the outcome of the film.
I think the only thing is that Marion would probably be dead if he wasn't involved. They would have just killed her and taken the necklace. So he did save Marion's life.
That is actually, that is true. They're not giving Indy enough credit when they say shit like that, I guess.
And he probably saved a whole lot of other people as well. I just can't think of them. Although I bet I'll tell you what, the monkey probably would have lived.
Oh, that poor monkey.
That poor monkey.
That poor
it was
Nazi
a pretty
monkey.
Villainous monkey, actually. So
it was a double-crossing monkey. It was a
double-crossing monkey.
Yeah.
He pretended to be Marion's friend, got her kidnapped and killed.
Oh,
and then
yes.
When the Nazis tried to poison Indiana and his friend, not Brian Blessed.
No, it's oh fuck! Because I saw him. He's one of the hobbits.
Gimli.
He's one of the fucking hobbits in.
No, Gimli. He's the dwarf.
Oh, he is Gimli. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh fuck! I can't remember his name.
With a poison date, and the monkey accidentally eats it, and then he dies, and that's how they find out they're trying to be poisoned. But they never find out that the monkey was the one who betrayed them. They never found out it was an evil monkey.
No, I don't think they do they? No, I'm trying to think. They just realise the monkey died, and that's it. That's a very odd. But at the same time though, the whole point is Indy is trying to find the Ark of the Covenant before the Nazis do, so the Nazis don't get their hands on it, which, again, if he did nothing, the Nazis would have got their hands on it eventually and just all unalived themselves.
Yes, they would have perished the same way.
Yeah. The only difference is that if they didn't kill Marion in the pub where she was residing, they probably would have taken her with her, and she wouldn't have known to close her eyes, and
I think they would have just killed her in the pub. She wouldn't have given them the necklace. They'd have killed her, taken it, and then.
And Heimlich would have had a good time doing it, which is disgusting.
Oh,
which is disgusting, but he would have, because he's just that well acted. And
I suppose you could also say that if Indiana Jones wasn't there, the Americans wouldn't have got the Covenant at the end. It might have stayed with the Nazis.
It might have stayed
when they come to find out, they come to investigate what happened. They might have taken it with them still. So you could say that it's a good thing.
Yeah, because it's put in that weird warehouse, isn't it? Is that
never seen again?
Never-ending warehouse, which is not. It's never seen again until film number 4. But
yeah, I missed it the first time round, but you told me about that.
Yeah.
But so I still think that even though the plot of the film may have been roughly the same if Indiana Jones wasn't there, I still think that maybe the Nazis would have got hold of the Covenant anyway.
Could have been better. They could have because that's the reason they don't take it. I have some vague memory in my head because it's been quite a while now since we watched these films.
We're just going straight to theory mode.
But I have a feeling that they do this thing of like, oh no, it needs to be taken to Hitler right away, and it's either Belloc or the Commandant who's just like, no, we must have this glory for ourselves. And I was just like,
Belloc really wanted to open it. He was like, it must be studied. I must study it. Because that's it. Belloc is Indiana Jones if he didn't care about anything but treasure hunting.
mm,
Which is what, funny enough, Indiana Jones is like at the beginning of the next film, which is a prequel. So you can kind of see he does start off as a Belloc himself.
it sounds like an insult at this point, doesn't it?
He was such a Belloc.
You complete Belloc.
So you don't realise how he changed until he changed.
I might have
until
to
you
start
still watch the
calling people
prequel.
that.
You Belloc.
Yeah. It just sounds so good.
It's good, and he's a villain, so it is an insult.
Yeah. A couple of little technical points on the film. Like, I like how they play with like silhouette and shadows.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of, obviously Spielberg for me had like quite a lot of good early success, and like Jurassic Park and Duel and Jaws, and like they're all amazing, but amazing films. But like, just for kind of iconic imagery, there's quite a lot of like really good shots in this film. Especially there's like where they're digging in the sunset in Egypt, and it's basically a whole shadow silhouette situation film that they go for in this. And like, it looks, even with the sort of HDified, it's not even 4K I think, but like they've upscaled it on like Disney Plus where we watched it. And it looks damn
very good.
He
knew how to use effects, like not special effects, just what's it called? What's it called when it's not? What's it called when it's not a special effect, but like it's actually physically there?
Well,
physical effect. I don't know, but he used it well. Whatever he did, it made the film look good. Yeah. He was very good at what he did, is what I'm trying to say. But I don't know how I'm saying it.
We're trying to compliment Spielberg, but we're shit at it.
He's very good. He also, one of his first directing roles was in an episode of Columbo, which is also very good.
You do like your old those like 70s Columbo. TV shows and shit, don't you?
It was a good time to be around the 70s.
Oh,
I do miss it.
You're
hope to see it again.
You're very. Well, you hope to see it again. The 2070s.
Yeah, the 2070s. Those, if they're as good as the 1970s, then I'll be having a good time.
Yeah, well, you'll definitely live that long, obviously, because you are apparently immortal. So,
I didn't say that. You're just assuming now.
Yeah, well, I'm assuming because you keep saying you were in your mid-hundreds. What, when this this film came out, maybe?
It could be. I lose track. That's the problem. I lose track.
With being so old.
Yeah, you kind of forget. You have to get the calculator out to figure it out.
Oh dear. I will also say as well that whilst Marion is probably one of the, if not the best female lead in these films, she does play a bit of a damsel in distress for a lot of this film. Like,
I think that was definitely the time as well. I mean, all there were damsels in distress back then for female leads.
Yeah.
The only thing I can say is that she's a fairly competent damsel in distress.
Yes, she is.
She manages to almost get out of situations all by herself. Which is more than could be said about other damsels in distress.
Oh my god. Well, before we move on to other damsels in distress that might make my brain die a little bit, what would you give the Raiders of the Lost Ark?
I don't have a lot of nostalgia for this film, and I think that's probably going to affect my score for it a little bit. So I'm going to give it an A.
Oh, well, that is higher than, from what you were just saying. Well, that's a lot higher than I thought you were going to.
You'd think that I'd give it an S, right? Because it's the first Indiana Jones film, but it's just an A for me.
Well, it's an A for me too.
That's
So
good.
that's that point. That's that plot taken up. There are no more A's in my Indiana
All
Jones.
S's.
All S's from here on out. Yeah. You heard it here first, folks. Dial of Destiny, S tier.
It's so good it looped itself right back round.
It looped itself right back round into the S category. We'll get to that later. Yeah, so we were speaking of damsels in distress, and my god, a couple years later they come out with Temple of Doom.
Which is a prequel.
Yes, in 1935, Indiana Jones is tasked by Indian villagers with reclaiming a rock stolen from them by a secret cult beneath the catacombs of an ancient palace.
Oh my.
Oh my, yes, I don't know what
That's
happened.
pretty good.
Why it's there, but yes. It's,
This
Yeah.
film has grown on me. So since watching it, it's grown on me.
I am baffled by this. You mentioned this to me possibly I think when we were organising watching The Last Crusade, because we watched Raiders and Temple of Doom in a block, and then about a week later we went and watched Last Crusade.
Yeah.
And about midway through the week, I was like, you still good for Saturday or Sunday or wherever it was? And you were like, yeah, Temple of Doom's growing on me. I was like, for fuck's sake. you cannot be serious. So IMDb give it a 7.5 out of 10.
Yeah.
Which is much higher than I thought that was going to be. Metacritic are sitting about right with a 57 out of 100. I think that's...
interesting.
I think that's far fairer. Probably actually more generous than this film deserves, because... Oh boy. So
it was a bit of a mess, this film. It started out quite good. So we start out in Hong Kong, I think?
Shanghai or Hong Kong.
Was it Shanghai or Hong Kong?
Yeah,
it's
two very different
a
places.
big
But
Chinese city. I suppose Hong Kong wasn't
Shanghai,
there.
because they go
because Hong Kong wasn't part of China then. Okay,
Anyway.
it's Shanghai. You could tell because it was just... When I think of Shanghai, I just think of huts on a river. No.
We sound
What
so
film
bad for
was
saying
that from?
Oh, that is from Armageddon, which
it
will have
was
come out
Armageddon?
by this
Yes.
point. That episode has come out. But that fucking... So Armageddon
where
has a
is
scene
this?
where a rogue meteor hits Shanghai, and the way they represent Shanghai is just wooden river boats and river houses that are all made of fucking twigs.
It's just not like one of the biggest cities in China, one of the biggest countries in the world. No, it's just a little village.
Yeah, and this massive asteroid just comes down and illuminates this wooden village, and you're like, why are you doing this, Michael Bay? What is wrong with you?
See, he's no Steven Spielberg. Steven Spielberg knows how to represent Shanghai, if that is where they are. I assume it is.
He represents it by hosting the opening of the film in kind of gangster casino kind of place.
It's kind of like a casino. Almost like a prohibition casino where everything's just a little bit under the table, and you get this lovely opening of the female lead whose name I've forgotten. I'm so sorry. She is singing
the
Anything
actress's
Goes.
The actress's name is Kate Capshaw.
Yes, she's singing Anything Goes in Chinese, I assume Mandarin, and it's great. And I thought, I like this. And then the way you're introduced to this character is that she just doesn't know what's going on. She's completely oblivious to the extreme where she's being held at gunpoint. She was like, stop it, you're ruining my dress. What are you even doing? And I thought, this is great. I love a character who has no clue what's going on.
And
they end up kidnapping her. It's basically a heist goes wrong. As I said, Indy's a bit of a belloc in this film.
Yeah.
He's trading artifacts for diamonds instead of bringing them to museums like he wants to be in the next film. And it all goes horribly wrong. He loses the diamond. He loses the statue, and he has to make a run for it. He accidentally kidnaps this woman.
Yeah, so this is the like, again, you don't realize how big of a part she's going to be in the film because she is introduced as like negotiating cannon fodder. Indy, like you said, she's being held at gunpoint by like Indy and her are being held at gunpoint.
And she's
Indy
like,
at one point
what
has
are
a
you
knife
doing?
like
Yeah,
held
and
to
she's
her.
like, you snagging my dress.
Yeah. By the way, I'm gonna kill her if you don't give me the diamond. And they're like, we don't care if she dies. She's like a performer. She just works here. Fuck you. We'll kill her anyway. And Indy's like, oh shit. Okay.
She's not taking any of this in. She was like, oh, can we go for drinks after?
Except that ignorance, that
really endeared me to her.
Blissful ignorance,
Yes.
in a way. It continues for the next 2 hours.
No, she gets more. I think if she stayed that ignorant to what's going on, I'd have been happy. She just if she was completely oblivious to the danger she was in, but she kind of, when they reach India, she kind of realizes and starts screaming through the rest of the film, which isn't great.
But she still doesn't grasp any of, like, you know, when Indy describes this, you know, the reason, you know, for the stones, why they're going down. Yeah, she's
still not very clever.
She still doesn't get it. Short Round gets it more than her.
Oh, Short Round stole my heart. He is a good boy.
Sure, I can understand at the time, with the reputation that some, like, kid actors get, possibly why Short Round might have been viewed as annoying. However,
he was nowhere near as annoying as Kate.
Put him beside Kate Capshaw, and my God, Short Round is the most adorable thing in the universe.
He really did save this film, because every scene he was in, she wasn't. Oh my gosh, I felt awful. I mean, she's probably a great actress. This is probably a very hard role to do. Just sit there and scream and be dumb.
Yeah.
And have a bit of sexual tension with Harrison Ford was probably the most interesting part of it for her.
It was the most interesting part of it, but it was also the most weirdly forced sexual tension you've ever seen.
It came out of nowhere
ever.
and then faded pretty fast.
Yeah.
There wasn't much chemistry between them, really. You know how I feel about when a romance starts with a kidnapping anyway.
Well, yeah. My note for that is for Kate Capshaw in general is Kate Capshaw, however, is the most annoying character in all 5 films.
Oh yes, she definitely is.
Screams constantly, is basically kidnapped into the plot and could leave at any time. Like,
she could have left in Shanghai, but could she leave now? Because she's still kind of stuck in India.
Yes, but I'm sure. But that's the thing. So the whole premise is that, like, they accidentally kind of stumble into this Indian village which is starving. It's kind of like,
all of the children have been stolen as
well. All of the children have been
sad.
kidnapped, and they have this sacred stone that's like on a shrine.
The guardian of the village, almost.
Yeah, that has been taken.
Stolen. With all the children.
The villagers somehow.
Was there was it like a prophecy that, you know, someone would come, the next person who came to the village would be the one to save them? So they
welcomed along those lines. Yeah,
they welcomed Indy, Kate, and Short Round.
Yeah,
quite welcome, quite a welcome for them. It was very sweet, actually. I liked when they were in the village. Everyone was very nice.
But I do get the feeling is this though, like if it was just Indy and Short Round, it could have been, because Indy and Short Round in the opening are already established to have chemistry together. They have a connection. They have worked together before. It is implied through the dialogue that they know each other. Kate Capshaw is just along for the ride.
Yeah, it was very sweet. I think that, what was it, Short Round tried to rob Indy in Japan.
Oh yes, yeah.
And then he sort of kind of half adopted him.
Yeah. So, like, you know, there's that, but like it's one of those things where, like, she doesn't need to be in the film. She actively, by her screaming and just blissful ignorance to everything going on around her, makes the film worse. And it was so easily solvable by getting her to hitch an elephant out of India, essentially. Like, you could have just done that.
The problem, I guess the problem is that they needed a female lead in the film, but they didn't do it very well.
They didn't get Karen Allen back, and I know it's a prequel, but it could have gone some way to explaining the backstory.
Why she was so angry at him.
Yeah, it could have set up the backstory of Marion and Indy.
Because she wouldn't have been mad. Because by the ending of that, when she saw him restore a village, she probably wouldn't have been angry at him. So maybe it couldn't have been Marion, but it could have been anyone. It could have just been a better written character.
It could.
But I guess people probably didn't care about that back then as much as we do now.
Yeah,
they just wanted to see a pretty woman.
We're focusing a lot on Kate,
and it's not because this is a good. Once they're in the catacombs under the mine, I think it is, under the palace, it gets really dark. And there was a jump scare that got both of us.
The jump scare.
I screamed and you swore.
Yeah, there's a jump scare where like Indy's surveying. Indy's like goes down into this like temple and into this like staging area for sacrifices with the kind of like almost hilariously iconic villain at this point with the Kalima Shakti Te like heart grabbing.
And then he grabs
thing.
your heart. I was kind of half looking away.
But he's down in this staging area but we're all the way back with Kate Capshaw and Short Round, and they're looking out. I'm going like, okay, well, Indy, where are you going? Where are you going? And then all of a sudden, this guy just pops up out the foreground, out of nowhere, and it's just.
It got me so much. I didn't see it coming. I was like, ah.
Yeah, it's a very like again a brief moment of brilliance in what is a very small scale adventure compared to like a lot of the other indie films we see. I think for worse, because there's a lot of like weird inconsistencies with the magic elements of it. There's just weird.
It's very mystical. I suppose all of the indie films are very mystical. This one was very dark. I think the best part of it was when Indy finds the stones and he's kind of pocketing them, and he's about to leave to go back to Kate and Short Round, and he can hear the children sort of scream. He can hear the children being abused in the background, and he kind of looks at them, and then he looks and is like, I really want to leave, but I have to stay and help them. I think that bit was.
It's the character growth of the film, really, isn't it?
That bit, I think made the film. The more I thought about that, the more the film grew on me. I thought it wasn't the film that we wanted, but it was It's not the film that I particularly like, but I still think it's good.
I mean, I don't like it. I'm not gonna beat around the bush or try and sugarcoat.
That's okay.
Like, I don't like it. I think it is far too. I don't even want to use the word silly, because these films have an element of silliness to them. Obviously, we were opening the Ark of the Covenant in the other one.
It was a bit wacky,
but this one has a whole like minecart chase. Which apparently,
I kind of like that.
Yeah, there's all sorts, and then there's the guy who can rip out your heart, except he doesn't do it at every single ceremony, and he does.
They only had the budget for one heart ripping.
Yeah. There's also, oh my god, I forgot what I was gonna say. God damn it.
Sorry, did I put you off?
No, it's not. It's not that. But there's something very like. It's this. I was leading with the. I don't like this film. However, when they do actually get into like the temple, they don't leave. Like the first bit of this film is them getting to India, them setting up the stones, and then getting to the palace where they meet the Maharaja
and his prime minister.
And they set that up, and then once they have that first night at the palace, and they have that weird forced sexual tension between Indy and Kate, and bizarre and weird. They then discover the temple, and then they just don't leave the temple for the rest of the film, and it's a solid like 45 to 50 minute like section.
That's where all the action is. Yeah.
It just barrel rolls continuously out of like completely just barrels forward into the finale, and you're thinking, wait, what? And because I didn't realize it, because obviously with action films, you have a bit of action, then you have rest where they think about what they're doing and like all that sort of stuff. It's the
they
roller
do not
coaster
let you
thing.
Rest.
Yeah,
on this film.
So I guess in that respect, yes, like there is like something to be said with being like, right, we've set it up and now we're in it. However, it's such a jarring, like, there are so many weird, like, jarring moments in this film where you're like, that's they wouldn't have survived that, or they wouldn't have done that. Indy's not like that.
Well, I mean, they did survive a plane crash in a boat.
The inflatable rubber dinghy that just splats onto like the mountainside.
They were fine.
Yeah, it's so dumb.
They were fine. They just slid down. So I guess if you can survive that, I feel like Indiana Jones could survive anything.
Yeah, the minecart chase, which seems to just...
It's a very long minecart.
Yeah, apparently the mines go the entire length of India for how long that sequence goes on for.
I did really like it though. I kind of like the minecart race. I think it's because it was so wacky.
Yeah, I think that's probably the issue with it. I think
that appeals to me.
Yeah, and again, I get where you're coming from with like, and usually I wouldn't mind a bit of wackiness and silliness, but it's how we said it like when we were watching it, or I think after we just watched it. It's like, how do you watch Raiders of the Lost Ark and then make that jump? Like, if you were to make Raiders and then go straight to Last Crusade, they have more in common. They're like,
yeah, they do.
They're tangible, connected films.
It does seem... I wonder if it would have been different if we had watched Temple of Doom first. And then...
watch it in chronological order.
I wonder if that would have made a difference. It'd be interesting, wouldn't it?
It could have made a difference, but at the same time, it's not canonically. Like, in the timeline of reality, it's not what happened.
The timeline of reality.
Yeah.
I was the only one there, Fred. You weren't.
because everyone, Spielberg, Lucas, all the writers and, production staff, they all made Raiders of the Lost Ark, and then they went away and made this next. Whether it wasn't meant to be an Indiana Jones film or something, it's one of those things that kind of started off life as a separate thing and then became Indiana Jones, or
it could be a Charlie's Angels 2 syndrome where it was a cash grab and rushed.
It could be the cash grab and rush. I love that that's our baseline for cash grab film, like Charlie's Angels Full Throttle.
It's what I call like a hot mess sequel, where it's just so rushed and no plot. And it doesn't make a lot of sense. I wouldn't say that's... I don't think that's probably what happened with this. I'm wondering if what you said is more true, whether they wanted to make a really dark story and they slapped Indiana Jones's name on it so people would come see it.
Yeah, because again... and
because it was very dark when in some parts. I mean, the whole kidnapping children, slave labour, making them mine. The parents are just devastated with the loss. I mean, and the hearts and the human sacrificing. It's just
Shakti Te. I love
exactly.
It. Yeah, Kalima.
So,
Kalima. What would you give Temple of Doom, Lottie?
Again, I think it's a good film. I just don't like it very much. So I think I'm going to give it a B.
It's a good film.
I think it's a good film, but it's not a film that was made for me.
I love that synopsis. It's a good film, I just don't like it very much.
Yeah, there are films out there where they're good, but you also don't like them.
Yeah, I'm not of that mind.
I'm
not of that mind. I think I don't understand how this is what you come up with after Raiders. I don't understand the logical leaps and bounds that they do, and it is just far too like.
I think I just like the characters, but not the situation they were in.
Yeah, it's far. And again, Kate Capshaw must be one of the most grating presences I've seen in a movie for a long time.
I feel like we need to watch another film with her in there, just so we don't. Because
like find her highest rated film on IMDb or something and just watch that to see what
because
can
I feel
be
so
good.
bad that I'm basically just trashing her.
Well, yeah, but
when it probably was not her fault. I mean, look what she had to work with.
And again, she's going with the direction of Spielberg and Lucas, like, you know.
And she did end up marrying Spielberg, didn't she?
That might have been a part of it, yes.
So I guess, you know, that's not a bad prize to get at the end of this.
This is true. But yeah, no, I'm only going to give it a C because so that's blocked in for me. No more C grades.
I think I know where the rest of them are going. You've not really given much to the imagination.
No, I'm not. But at the same time, I mean, yeah, Dial of Destiny in the S tier, people, lock it in.
And then Crusade is a solid D.
But yeah, it wasn't my initial reaction to kind of like put one for each. I thought like maybe some will be just as bad as the others, but I was just like, no, these rankings make sense to me. So yes, we're going to go on to Last Crusade anyway, because it's the next film in the series, so it makes sense. Starting off with young Indiana Jones.
Yeah, it was very nice to see. Oh gosh, what's his name?
River Phoenix. Yes.
You don't see him in a lot, but he's good in whatever role he was in.
Well, he died very young, didn't he?
He died very young. Yeah, I mean, what else was in Stand By Me? Also, a very great film. But
he wasn't he? Yeah.
But he did look a bit like Harrison Ford, I thought, and I think he played Harrison Ford's son in a film before this, so that might be why they cast him.
That is actually the thing. He does get, even though he's young Harrison Ford, like, you know, he's a completely different, you know,
human being.
Yeah, they haven't de-aged Harrison Ford that much. Like, he does have a lot of the mannerisms and quirks down quite well, which is for the short amount of time he's in the film, it's really quite impactful, really.
Yeah, it reminded me of Looper when, oh gosh, what was his name? Did those Bruce Willis mannerisms.
Oh, Joseph Gordon-Levitt,
yes.
Gets his little prosthetic makeup on him, but yeah, and you're thinking like, good, like he has studied like every single Bruce Willis film.
That film was so good.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt must have just spent a year watching Bruce Willis films and nothing else.
It would be a pretty good year, I'll tell you that.
Oh, some of them, yeah. But yes, Last Crusade, IMDb, give it an 8.2.
Ooh.
And Metacritic only give it a 65, and I feel that that's very harsh.
That's interesting. Mind you, Metacritic's always been a bit weird.
Yeah, a bit off with their markings, yeah. In 1938, after his father goes missing while pursuing the Holy Grail, Indiana Jones finds himself up against the Nazis again to stop them from obtaining its powers. There you go. Yeah, that's the plot.
Very good. Well done.
I know, right?
I didn't even try to put you off.
I expect more putting off next time, Lottie.
Okay, I'll go make some silly faces.
Yeah, just block the camera. It's like, no to your face. I will not have it.
I really like this film.
Hey, I was worried that you didn't for some reason.
It would be very difficult not to like this film.
Yeah.
It is so well made. It's got very charismatic actors in it. Yeah, especially the two main leads.
Yeah, exactly. It benefits greatly from, I don't know how well they got on set, but like the chemistry between Harrison Ford and Sean Connery, who plays his dad, is very good, and they bounce off each other very, very well. Yeah,
really good. They made a interesting choice to make the female lead the villain, which I think worked really well. Way better than the Temple of Doom. Maybe that would have been better if they'd done that then.
I feel like you said earlier, we really need to stop like just ragging on Kate Capshaw.
Maybe if she came back as the villain, that would have redeemed her character.
She comes back as the villain,
and she's a Nazi.
I had such a bad experience with our Indian Temple of Doom. I joined the Nazis.
Oh God! In that case, we probably could have blamed Harrison Ford for Indiana Jones for making her a Nazi, so that's probably best she didn't come back.
Yeah, that's just a big, like...
Oh, no.
Harrison Ford already has to deal with enough, like, father issues in this film, and, like, he doesn't want to deal with the fact that, like, one of his ex-flames has just turned to be a Nazi. Although that is basically what happens in this film, though, as well.
She was a Nazi before seducing both of them.
That is true, yes.
In fact, that is probably the reason she seduced both of them.
Yeah.
Is because she wanted something from them. They both got played, basically, by her, which is really funny.
Yeah, it's they reveal it when they're tied up in the castle. Like he goes to
"Don't,
Austria.
son, she's a Nazi."
Don't give her the gun. It's it's a spectacular like action film.
Much fun.
I really
so much fun. From castles in where was that castle? Castles in Austria to getting Hitler's autograph. It's a great fun time.
Getting Hitler's. Yeah, they go through what? Are they in Venice at one point?
They go through most of Europe. It's probably the last time they could travel freely before 1945.
Yeah, this is true. Yes. So they're just like, quick, let's get through as many European countries as we can.
Oh yeah, of Europe.
Tour of England. Yeah.
Tour of England. Well, that would be afterwards.
They don't even go to England.
No, they don't go to England.
Yeah. I think the only sort of like, not weak point, I guess. The only sort of weakness of the film is the kind of secret society that pops up, and you think they are the villains or the kind of like other villains. It's a secret society that are basically... they're not meant to be Freemasons or something, are they? I'm just making shit up.
I think they're just trying to protect artifacts from the Nazis. That's basically their only... That's their secret society. Is that it?
Oh no, but they go after Indiana Jones first of all.
Oh, they do. But I think
it's with
probably them. Because he thinks that he's either going to lead them to them.
Mm.
But yeah, they're almost like the... it reminds me a bit of a National Treasure, where there's just a secret society.
Oh yeah, no, in National Treasure they are the Freemasons, isn't it?
They're basically but under another name.
No, I think they literally do. Don't they have Harvey Keitel at the end?
But he's a Templar, I think they're called then.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
They call them the Templars then.
Yeah.
Okay. My God, that film was dumb.
Which I think is what they call them here, because I feel like they're also Templars. But
no, you're right. I think you are right, because I seem to remember when they actually end up killing. They kill the like leader of this secret society, and he's just like the Templars, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, but yes, it's like I don't know again how the kind of dip of the filmmaking process where you have Raiders and then you dip down to Temple of Doom and then they're just like shit, right, what do we do now? And then
I guess they learned a lot from making both of them, and then they put all of the experiences together to make one amazing film.
Yeah, it is odd.
And I liked the ending as well. It was good. The bad guys got their comeuppance. And the female lead's death was very good.
What doesn't she
was
just get
so consumed by keeping this cup that she just doesn't let go, even though it costs her a life.
A void, yeah.
And then the same thing almost happens to Indy, but then Sean Connery says, "God, let it go, Indy, let it go."
Yeah.
And
Sean Connery's just
and
like,
then
"Don't
I
be
almost
daft."
cried.
He
does. He's like, let it go. And I was like, oh, sometimes you do have to let things go.
Oh my god, I forgot that. Yeah, you just like, I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to cry.
I'm not crying, you are.
You cry very easily at this sort of film.
I can't help it. I've got a big heart.
Any sort of emotional, like, moment. And that's the thing.
I'm
like,
in tears.
With our friend Christy, we've had this conversation where like she barely cries at anything, and you cry at everything.
She gave me all of her crying.
Well, yeah, but she's described it before as she knows what the film is trying to do. Like when she
doesn't want to get manipulated by it.
by the film. So when the film is, giving you the sad music and the dramatic acting and everything, she's like, no, I'm not doing that, and she doesn't cry. And fair enough, it takes a lot for it has to be like really the film has to be really sucking me in for me to cry as well, and I have bawled my eyes out a couple of films. But yeah, you on the other hand, like the violins just need to start and you're just like
it's definitely worse when I don't see it coming. Like sometimes if I go to see a film I know it's going to be sad, sometimes I won't cry. But I think that's why I cry a lot at Pixar, because it's not supposed to be sad, and then
are you kidding
first
me?
10 minutes of Up,
and
then I died.
That's the thing. Every film after Up, I'm now just expecting emotional turmoil. I mean, it's just what Pixar do now, because
I will never watch Up again.
Up was such a
or maybe just skip it.
That first 5 minutes is such a brutal masterpiece of emotional storytelling. Like, just a...
But that wasn't quite that level in Indiana Jones.
No, Indiana Jones...
I shed a tear, but it wasn't, I can't stop crying.
I can't stop crying. The tears
just won't stop coming. It was more sort of like,
coming.
oh, what a lovely sentiment. Now they're closer than ever. And maybe you're not supposed to have the cup. Maybe it's better just being lost.
Yes, I do like the father-son bond that is explored throughout the film. And it's not something you get and again, not something you probably would have expected from an Indiana Jones film, but it is.
Because he was quite the absentee father, wasn't he?
Exactly, and they don't have a lot of sit down heart-to-heart talks. There's one they get on a blimp. They get on a blimp.
Oh, the blimp.
And they stow away. They fly. Oh yeah, they eventually have to escape on a plane off the blimp. But that's a whole other thing. But before they do that, they have this kind of heart to heart, as it were, of where the hell have you been all my life, Dad? Sort of talk, which is not something
it was brewing, but I think because they were confined, it all just came out.
Yeah, you're confined. You have about 15 hours to kill on a blimp ride to, I don't know, Bethlehem or wherever they're going.
Yeah, there's only so much you can do before all the family trauma comes to the surface.
Yeah,
and you're having an argument.
But unlike any sort of issues that Temple of Doom or even Raiders have, or even films after, or even films 4 and 5, it's actually written surprisingly well. And again, I don't know if Connery and Ford had some sort of powwow about hashing out their characters, so they would have memories to draw up on or something like that, but it's really written and executed very, very well, and it heightens the sort of
you feel what they're feeling, which is always good in a film.
Well, yeah, and when you can get that emotional connection to the characters, that's when you have things like the ending where Connery is basically shot. And it gives Ford more motivation to do.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Now I'm feeling sad again.
Yeah, well, that's why he has to go after the Grail, because he's like, the Grail can cure my dad. The Grail can cure my dad.
And it does. And then they all live happily ever after.
Yes, and they don't have quite as horrific a death scene for the bad guy in this one. They do. It's pretty. No,
yeah, he turns to dust, but it's not as memorable as the others.
Well, yes. Well, when you see
Especially
a
the
Nazi's
first.
face get melted off, it kind of sticks with you. Don't
I'm wondering if they got into trouble for being dark and they wanted to make this one less so.
Yeah, because again, the ratings for these films sort of change over time. Because I do remember stuff like Jaws had its rating changed.
I feel like Jaws is a PG now. George is a PG. The shark's name is George now.
Yeah, and essentially, yeah, because as films have gone on, like, you know, the violence and
things that were shocking now then aren't so shocking anymore.
Yeah. Although
having your face melt off will always be shocking to me.
It will always be pretty shocking, yeah.
Yeah.
And it does, the crudeness of some practical effects back then, you know, you can see the join, as it were. Sometimes it makes it...
You can see the strings.
Yeah, like in Thunderbirds.
Such a good show.
No, well, yes. Show, yes. Film, yeah.
Film also. Don't make me burst into song. I will.
I thought you didn't remember the Thunderbirds song, Lottie.
Dr. Jones, calling Dr. Jones.
Oh, okay.
Dr. Jones,
I was
Dr.
thinking
Jones,
of the
get up
wrong
now.
song. I was thinking of the wrong song.
I snuck in there.
Yeah,
See?
you had to sneak Aqua in there at some point, didn't you?
Yeah. Great song.
Which, as far as we know...
Everyone's got that in their head now.
It's not actually about Indiana Jones.
Well, the lyrics aren't, but the music video is.
The music video sure as shit is, yes, but like...
That should be the 6th film. That'll round it off quite nicely.
I
wonder where that would be set.
I'm so surprising they didn't like sneak it into a radio station or something, like in the film somewhere. Just like Dr. Jones as it goes past him in a car. He's like, what the fuck? What the fuck was that?
What's your rating for this film, Fred?
What's my rating for Last Crusade? It's obviously an S. It's an S tier. It's the best of the best of the best.
It is the best of the Indiana Jones films, but it's just an A for me. How
very dare you, Lottie. I will be having words with you off camera about this.
And I can't even tell you why. I know I'll never watch it again.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It made me feel things, but unless someone else wants to watch it, I probably will not watch it again. Not on my own, anyway.
That's surprising. Like, again, there are certain films on this list, or on like on the list of all the films that we've seen for this show, that you would definitely watch again in a heartbeat. That you've given A's and S's.
Well, I mean, I had to give this one an A because it's incredibly good, but it doesn't. I don't know. I like Indiana Jones, but I never yearn for Indiana Jones.
You never yearn for the
I never yearn for these films like I yearn for some of the others.
Fair enough. I
don't know how else to explain it.
Yeah. I think he is given a lot more space in the action hero stakes. In the action hero kind of like iconic action
He's
heroes.
An icon, yeah. He's up there with Bond.
He's given a lot... I think he's given a lot more, like, importance than he probably should be. Because I would say, like,
Do you think there just wasn't anything like him before? I know there's been a lot of Indiana Jones-esque films since, but do you think it's because he was the first one that he's so iconic?
Yeah, he's probably the first... And again, maybe the first sort of hero like Jones. Yeah, maybe there wasn't much. And again,
And he's inspired so much that I do love. Like Lara Croft.
Good old Lara Croft.
And
we
there'd
got
be
to
no
get to
National
those
Treasure.
films at that point. Oh my god, we've got to get to
be-
the Tomb Raider films at some point.
I cannot wait. But there'd be no Tomb Raider. There'd probably be no National Treasure, and you know how much I love those films.
You have a weirdly large place in your heart for National Treasure.
Exactly, where Indiana Jones should be where National Treasure is in my heart, but for some reason it's not, and that's why it's not getting an S.
But you recognise that Indiana Jones has paved the way for National Treasure.
Exactly. I have a great deal of respect and love for Indiana Jones, but I don't think I'll ever watch any of these again.
Speaking of stuff you might never watch again.
Oh no.
Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Oh, I really like this film.
See,
I liked it when it first came out, and I liked it even more the second time we watched it.
yeah, now there's the distinction there, because I can't remember the actual time frame. Like, when I think Last Crusade was something like 1989, and then this was something like,
It was the 50s, I want to say.
Well, no, but like it came. Well, so yeah, no, but the time frame
right,
between
sorry.
the films. Yeah, it then
I
came
got there
out
in the
30
end.
years before.
It came out 30. It was another prequel.
It came like, so Last Crusade was like 1989, I want to say, and then this is like late 2000s, early 2010s on that cusp, isn't it?
Future Fred will tell us.
Yeah, it'll be on the screen now with a big explosion graphic because I'm just so cool.
I'm scared because that explosion was just so cool.
Yeah, I know. My coolness is scary. It's got a bit.
Future Fred is very cool.
So before we get into the point I was going to make, anyway, IMDb give this a 6.2.
Yeah.
And Metacritic give it a 65.
They are both very similar scores. You don't often get that with these two.
Yeah, no, they like
match.
to vary wildly with these things.
Yeah, I agree.
Indiana Jones becomes
it's a good,
entangled.
solid film. Oh,
He
sorry,
tries
you
to be-
started. I didn't even realise. You've got to go hem first or something.
Look, I'm a loose
Clear your
cannon. I'll do
throat.
it however the hell I want, Lottie. Okay,
I didn't have time to put you off, although I have interrupted you.
You have accidentally put me off, yes.
Okay, well then carry on, Fred.
Congratulations.
Carry on.
Golf claps all round. Well done, well done. Oh, pardon me.
My goodness, so uncouth.
Yeah, what are you going to do about it? Nothing. There you go. Cool. Indiana Jones becomes entangled in a Soviet plot to uncover the secret behind mysterious artifacts known as the Crystal Skulls.
Dun dun dun.
Yes. So.
Oh, was that it?
What?
Was that it? I
Yeah,
feel
that
like there
was
should
it.
be more of a synopsis than that. This
Well,
is
there's
the
a
only
lot of
film.
moving parts in it. Yeah.
This is the only film where the villains weren't Nazis.
Well, technically, they weren't in Temple of Doom.
Were they not Nazis in Temple of Doom?
No.
No, they weren't. You're right.
Yeah, they're all kind
Why
of
did I think they were? I just
Yeah.
forgot about Temple of Doom instantly. Okay.
But it's a great film, Lottie. What do you mean?
Maybe it's the film... Oh, no, actually, I was going to say maybe it's the films with Nazis as villains that are the best one, but that's not right either.
That's not... Yeah, because we're about
Nazis
to
just
get...
have nothing to do with it.
Yeah. And they should have nothing to do with anything ever again. There we go. Right, so... This film got quite rightly panned.
I don't understand why.
I mean, it goes very stupid.
But so
very
did the
quickly.
others.
I think in terms of ludicrousness, like the height of stupidity that you are about to experience, I don't think anyone was quite prepared for what Crystal Skull... Because I don't think... And I forgot completely, up until about a day before we watched it, about the nuclear bomb test. And
That was a bit weird.
And quite how quickly it arrives in the film as well. Like,
Yep, it was almost the opening scene.
yeah.
Because usually they have opening scenes that are completely different from the rest of the film. That nuclear bomb test was this film's
Yeah,
opening.
It was like Harrison Ford getting kidnapped by Kate Blanchett, who is the lead Soviet in the film.
He gets betrayed by his buddy Mac, the Aussie from
Well,
Ausland.
he's not really Aussie, he's Ray Winston, so he's definitely the British of British.
the Aussie from England.
The most cockney London guy who ever cockneyed. Without being Vinnie Jones, you know.
Yeah, from Australia.
From down under. From down under, mate, yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, so they have that whole chase through the warehouse where the Covenant is, the Ark of the Covenant is, to find this crystal skull. which Kate Blanchett is after. And then after getting the skull, Indy escapes out into the desert. He has a fight with a big, burly, like, Soviet guy.
He escapes via train. Great scene.
Well, yeah, through rocket-powered train, which is somehow in that building train as well.
It's great. It's that bit, I love trains, so that bit I was happy with.
that. But then he kind of makes his way into a small, like, desert town. And you think, that's fine. He very quickly realizes that it is a nuclear bomb testing site. And again, this is the first, like, I would say 20 minutes of the film. Not even that, maybe. And so he hides in a lead-lined fridge and gets blown probably 20 miles, like, in a lead-lined fridge, and just walks it off.
Well, I mean, this is the same guy who fell from a plane in a dinghy.
In a dinghy onto...
So,
like,
I can believe it.
I think, yeah, you can suspend disbelief to a bit. But the guy would be a red mush by that point. And
I think he may have survived the blast, but he would not have survived the fall.
Yeah. But the fact that it happens so early on in the film is such a clear indication of where, like, you're thinking,
it's escalated
this film's
from
going weird places.
It's definitely escalated from him running from a boulder.
Yeah, exactly. He just, like... And that was surprising, because again, I didn't remember that scene until, like, probably a day before we were watching it, and I was like,
that was the only thing I remembered.
Yeah, I remembered, like, the overarching plot of, like, the aliens and knowledge is power and all that sort of stuff. And
no,
blah, 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 blah.
I didn't even remember the ants. That freaked me out.
The ants, yeah. Again, however, watching it the first time, not expecting how batshit crazy it's going to get right off the bat.
It was I think that's why I liked it so much. It was very insane.
Yeah, and I think for you, who can kind of run with it in that respect, even if you know the Indiana Jones films and you know what you're going to expect, if it starts dialing it up to 11 immediately, you're just like, woohoo, let's go. Whereas for a lot of Indiana Jones fans out there, that was just a bridge too far. That was the bridge too far, where they were just like, he's not vaporized in a fridge?
Maybe it's because I don't have that love of the trilogy that I was more than happy with the fourth one.
Yeah, like it is a stupid film that takes Indy in, like, this weird direction. Having a son in Shia LaBeouf.
He's a great son.
Reuniting with Marion, and that's how they find out their son, etc. Like, it moves at a fair pace. I think it's got, like, the action scene explanation, like, it's got those, like, kind of nice beats going to it. So, like, it's a fairly paced film. The script, like, is fairly witty. Again, the dialogue is snappy, and how they've cut it together is quite nice. But I think having it go so ludicrous, and it only gets more stupid.
It does, and again, I loved it.
Yeah, I think well, I'm going to show the clip here, but quite frankly, the funniest bit, and the bit that was just like, yeah, I'm sorry, I appear to have a helicopter circling.
I was going to say, it's so loud, it sounds like, is that coming from me?
No.
Are they coming to get you, Fred?
They're coming to get me, Barbara.
That's what happens when you love Indiana Jones so much. You get
don't
sucked
even know
into the film.
Do you know what that quote is from? Just
They're
as
coming
an aside.
to get you, Barbara. Is it from a horror? Should I guess?
Well, no, I doubt you would have ever seen it, because it's zombies, so you wouldn't have...
Is it World War Z?
No, it's Night of the Living Dead. It's like...
That was going to be my next guess.
Yeah, it's... But again, you probably would not have ever seen that, because zombies.
No, but sometimes you get these things through osmosis.
Yeah, that's true. But anyway, now that the helicopter seems to have stopped searching for me and I can go back into hiding,
Yes.
What was I talking about?
You were talking about, I will include this scene.
I will include this scene. The thing that kind of summed up just how, like, daft and, like, is this funny? Is the jungle chase, like, midway through the film, where Shia LaBeouf ends up straddling two jeeps, and for a solid, like, I want to say a solid, like, 30-second unbroken shot just gets hit repeatedly in the nuts with, like, coconuts, essentially.
I really love that chase scene.
But it's a 30-second shot of Shia LaBeouf sword fighting someone on the right-hand side. It was
so good.
And there's just, like, he's, like, splayed legs, and there's just plant after plant is just beating his gonads.
Basically, Indiana Jones will not be a grandfather.
And you just think, but it holds it for so long.
I liked the film. I like the action sequence in this film.
But
the opening sequence is probably the weakest, where usually it's quite strong.
Yeah.
But I liked their chase. I liked their escape from the ants. I like how they decided to drive the car into the river and then go over multiple waterfalls.
Oh yeah, because they have with them at that point crazy man John Hurt, don't they?
Yes, John Hurt,
who is drip feeding them clues through his insanity.
Link.
Yeah, insanity / psychic link to the skull, which is a whole thing. But he drip feeds them the waterfall line. It's like 3 times it descends, and they just think, like, they have that Emperor's New Groove moment where they're just like, nah, fuck.
Yeah, because the first 2 aren't so bad, and then the last one's like, oh no. And they probably should have died then as well, but they don't, because this is Indiana Jones, and people don't die from falling from great heights. They're just all right. They're fine.
I don't know. Like,
did you enjoy it more the second time watching it than the first?
Yes.
Is it because I was there, bringing the energy up?
But has the whole world decided to come out?
The dogs are after you now.
What the fuck is happening outside my flat?
Do you need to start running?
I don't know.
Maybe lock the door.
No, it's fine. They can't get up here. They've booby-trapped the entire apartment.
That's good. That's the Indiana Jones effect. Well done.
Yeah, that's more kind of Kevin McAllister from Home Alone.
Oh dear. They're all going to get covered in paint.
Yeah, I put nails on the steps and all that sort of shit, yeah.
Oh, I hate that part.
Yeah. You know, cover them in tar and chicken feathers and shit. Like, I don't know. So, yes, slightly watching films with company is always a bit better than watching films alone. I don't think I ever would have been able to watch something like Super Mario Brothers if I was watching that alone.
Oh, I love that film.
Both times I've seen that film, I haven't been alone, because if I tried to watch that on my own, I would have been like, nah, fuck this. I'm gone.
Oh, your reaction to that film was fantastic.
It's so bad. And, like, you know, I've seen The Room. I've seen Tommy Wiseau's The Room. I didn't watch that alone.
I won't bother with that.
I didn't watch that alone. Me and my brother, back when I did drink, my brother got absolutely smashed and watched that, and that was...
It probably made it better.
It's the only way to watch it, because my God, that film is terrible. But yes, so slightly improved, obviously, by watching it with your fine self.
Thank you.
But also probably because I knew it was going to be that dumb. I think, like, I knew the ending. You
had your expectations set.
Yeah, but
when in
because it was the first Indiana Jones film for like 20 years, and we go into it thinking, great, we just get to pick up where the Last Crusade left off, and everything's gonna be fuck, he survived a fridge fall. Like, you know, it's just, I don't know what happened to Spielberg and Lucas to be like, I don't know, like, and again, it had to clear several levels of people being like, yeah, this is fine.
It's hard to know because I don't really know what goes into making a film. I don't know what interference they get, especially with big franchises like these. So it's really hard to know what happened, but I really liked it.
Yeah, it's
and this is the last one I liked.
I mean, yeah, it's going at a solid B tier for me.
I was going to put B as well. I was thinking A, but I thought I probably will get, burned alive if I put it at the same level as those other two. So
I will get set on fire immediately.
I'll get fed to those ants. So I'm saying it's a B. I enjoyed it.
The idea of like going, because the whole idea of the film is going to El Dorado and like
City of Gold.
The City of
Gold. But it's knowledge gold.
Yes.
But actually it is gold.
Yes, it's the City of Treasure or something. They kind of decipher it to mean like, oh, gold is not just gold, it's like treasure. So knowledge is their treasure.
Yes. All that glitters is not gold.
Yeah, and it turns out that the skeleton is just, that the skull is just one part of an alien skull.
And when they put it together, it turns into one alien. And we didn't even talk about the villain, but she's like, I want to know, and then she's like, actually, you know what, I don't. Oh no, it's too late there.
However, it is also another film where Indiana Jones didn't really affect the plot.
Well,
hear me out.
He probably saved John Hurt's life.
He probably saved John Hurt's life.
And Marion's.
However,
again,
he already thought John Hurt was dead because Oxley, the character, had been missing for God knows how long. Or maybe, I'm not sure. But even so, basically, Soviets want to find the skull and put the skull, find where the skull goes and get ultimate knowledge and power. They do that and immediately get killed. And then again, the aliens disappear.
He probably saves Marion. If he wasn't there, she would probably be dead, and his son, Junior, would also probably be dead. Now, he's called Mutt, isn't it? Because they're both named after dogs.
He is called Mutt, yes.
Yeah. Don't think that's his actual name, but that's his nickname.
Yes, that is his, yeah.
I assume his real name's Henry, because that would be funny.
I actually think you might be more on the money than you realise, because I'm pretty sure that is how that happens. But anyway, because she might call him Henry Jr. Because she knows, Marion knows it's Indy's kid.
Yes.
So I'm pretty sure she calls him Henry Jr. It's, I don't know, the action is fine. The acting is good. The plot is the acting is as good as it can be. The plot goes off the rails because aliens. But it is again, going off the rails in the finale is kind of keeping with the series.
I know. I do like it when a film goes off the rails as well.
We had lightning shooting out of chests. We had
it's great.
People being able to rip people's hearts out of their chest and they still are alive. You had the Holy Grail with a 700-year-old Knight of the Templar there. It goes off the rails. Indiana Jones in its final act. So it's kind of keeping with it. However, I feel, I felt excited watching Indiana Jones 1 and 3. I felt confused and just appalled watching Temple of Doom. And I just felt okay, just a kind of plod through the numbers.
Middling film. There was nothing really wrong with it.
I feel because
it was fairly inoffensive.
I feel because I put it at B, I have to justify it a little bit more, because I think
it was an inoffensive film that is enjoyable if you haven't watched any of the other Indiana Jones films.
And slightly less enjoyable if you have, but
yeah.
And I also feel if people go into this episode thinking, oh, he's going to absolutely trash Crystal Skull, it's yes, but it's not as bad as you remember it to be, I think.
No, I liked it the first time round. Apart from maybe the opening scene. I think the opening scene probably isn't the best. Maybe that brings the whole thing down.
Yeah, because it's just a bit like pedestrian.
Yeah, it's just like he's in America. I was like, you can't just start there. Anyway.
However.
Oh, Fred, I don't want to. Can we just stop here?
No, Lottie,
I don't want to talk about it.
We must soldier through.
I'm traumatised.
To the latest and the last. This is the ending of the Indiana Jones franchise.
Oh my gosh!
Indiana Jones
what an ending!
The Dial of Destiny.
I would just like to remind everyone that the ending of the Crystal Skull is Indy and Marion getting married with Mutt by their side. As you know, a best man / maid of honour, I assume. Happy ending all around.
There's the wistful shot of him potentially taking up the mantle because the hat blows to his feet. And then he's like... And Harrison is like, nope. Picks it like, you fucking bet.
You go back to school, kid.
Yeah. But Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, released in 2023... IMDb give it a 6.6. Don't look so shocked, Lottie. 6.6, and Metacritic give it a 58 out of 100.
Why is that so high? How come the one only got 27?
25. It's worse.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
25 out of 100 for the one.
Oh no! It's only a quarter.
Anyway. Archaeologist Indiana Jones races against time to retrieve a legendary artifact that can change the course of history. You thought the rest of the plot synopsis were bad? That's all you get for that one.
I mean, that's all I need. If only the film was that.
Yeah, it's...
You know what? This film started off strong. I had a good feeling. It starts off in 1945...
The Nazis are losing. Yeah, the Nazis are losing the war. Indiana Jones is kind of breaking out of a war camp because he's enlisted in the army.
Yeah, it's basically like a train heist. It's really fun.
Sort of, where him and Mads Mikkelsen and Toby Jones is there as well. Yeah, Toby Jones and Mads Mikkelsen, the Nazi scientist, are just all vying to get their hands on a dagger and the titular Dial of Destiny, or half of the dial. And basically, it's a whole. It features the ever controversial de-aging technology that we all know and love.
I think it was all right.
It works far. I think it works better on Mikkelsen than it does on Ford. Simply because they do a bit where Ford tries to get like really angry. It's like, you lost. There's that line specifically because Harrison Ford has a very good angry face, and when you de-age him, it doesn't look quite right. Like, he can't quite wrinkle up the face and get really like angry with it as he should do. Like the CGI just can't replicate it, so it looks a bit off.
I think I'm worse at noticing these things than you.
Yeah. I think because I've seen there's been quite a few weird examples of like de-aging over the years, and every time they do it, it's always the kind of focal point of like, you know,
it's where all the money goes.
Yeah. When we get to X-Men, they'll do it quite a lot in that as well, so you know,
again, sometimes I don't notice until you tell me they've done it.
X-Men isn't a horrific example. It's not a bad example of it, but it was one of the like first that I remember hearing about.
Yeah, that would have been way back in 2008, wouldn't it?
Yeah, something like that. But yes, it's a zippy first action sequence, you know, full of like a motorbike chase and train fights.
I was really enjoying it.
Yeah.
I was rooting for him. And I thought, oh man, why is everyone panning this film? And maybe it's like a Crystal Skull where everyone will hate it, but I'll like it.
Yeah. And then you get to the 60s. And then it zips forward in time to the 1960s where Harrison Ford is a get off my lawn. Yeah, a get off my lawn bitter old man.
He only has 3 socks. I don't know why. I don't know why it. Because we pan to the future. It's 1969. We see the sad apartment with someone hanging up their like laundry outside to dry, but they only have 3 socks. And I was like, who on earth lives here? Then you see it's Harrison Ford, and I was like, oh, where's his happy life? Where's his? Why is he not with Marion and his son? What's gone on here? Is maybe he's just travelling and he's in a sticky situation. But no, that's his life. And this is where it didn't quite hit me then, but as the film goes on, I was just hit with this. I think I described it to you at the time as an echo of grief that this film threw at me. I felt so low and depressed after this film because Indiana Jones had a happy ending and all of it was taken away from him, and now he is old and sad and alone, and even though he went on this epic adventure, he was still sad and alone through all of it, to the point where he was happy dying in the past.
Wow, we're getting ahead of ourselves, but
that's all I'm going to say about this film is that I couldn't bear what happened to him. Why can't they just let him be happy? What's wrong with that? Why did they have to do that? And I'm getting upset. I'm going to have to stop talking. You carry on, Fred. I'm not going to say anything else.
But this is the thing. You're not wrong. Because it does start with Harrison Ford like having this like
3 sock life.
3 sock life. He gets angry at his downstairs neighbours for like having a loud party and
for the moon landing.
And like he's retiring from his job. He doesn't work at the same university. He works at some.
He doesn't have any friends.
Yeah, oh my god, you're gonna get like. Yeah,
I'm so sad.
Yeah, and after I've written my note here is like, the zippy first action sequence and all that, and then after that, however, things get depressing. The tone of the film is one of loss and sadness. Indy is a get off my lawn kind of guy with a horrible backstory to unpack.
It's basically man yells at cloud.
Yeah, and then we're introduced to Helena, played by Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
In the film, she is the daughter of Toby Jones, who has passed away, I believe.
Yes, he went crazy throughout the years studying Archimedes' dial, which is this dial that they were trying to get the first half of in the opening. It's
rumoured that it can make you travel through time, and that was what made everyone a bit crazy for it.
Well, I think I think they don't tell you what it's for at the opening of the film. They just know that
there's
a half of a dial, and you're like, that's the dial. It must be what they're after in this film. And it's like, oh, cool. And then Phoebe Waller-Bridge has this sit-down talk with Harrison Ford in a bar, being like, all right,
I'm going to do my dissertation on it. Please help.
Please help. This is great. You know my dad. And it's like rumor has it, you took this half of the dial back to America, and you didn't keep it in Europe.
Himself.
Yeah, and you destroyed it. He told it, and then they latch on to the idea, and they say like, Harrison Ford goes like, oh yeah, well rumor has it if you put the dials together, it would be used to travel to certain places in time. And I'm just thinking, at that point, like having watched Indiana Jones 4 and being like, they followed through on the alien thing, so I was just like, motherfucker, we're gonna get time travel in this, aren't we?
I had slight hope that maybe he would go back and fix his horrible life.
There was that. However, it's far worse than that. We'll get through that though. We'll get into that bit because
go ahead. Keep talking.
I want to highlight the our favourite character who doesn't get, for some reason...
Oh, she was really good.
Doesn't get enough screen time and is unceremoniously killed off very early on in the film. And that is
CIA lady.
Yeah, it's a CIA agent Mason, and she's played by Shawnette Renee Wilson. And she's fucking badass.
So good.
She's so good.
They set her up as if she might change sides and side with Indy.
Yeah.
And that's what I was expecting to happen.
She's brought in as this CIA agent who is basically also sort of a PI.
And also maybe babysitting a bit for Evil Man McGee.
Yeah, Mads Mikkelsen is a Nazi scientist who was brought over from the war and then worked on the moon landing, which is quite a commonly known story. It's actually historically accurate that lots of NASA scientists who worked on the moon landing and the original Apollo missions were mostly Nazi scientists they brought over.
Yeah.
So Mads Mikkelsen is one said scientist, but he has his own kind of like henchman squad, and they are being kind of watched by CIA agent Mason, who is now tracking Phoebe Waller-Bridge because they want this dial, and the government have allowed Mads Mikkelsen to kind of go after this dial as a kind of like, oh, it's a little passion project of his, sure, we'll allow him to indulge in this. Once this kind of blows up out of control and the henchmen don't really care who gets in their way, who dies, so they cause all sorts of chaos trying to get the dial, and the CIA agent is basically like, wait, like, you guys need to fucking tone it down. The president wants the scientist back, and and they then just like, oh, okay, well, we're gonna go and get this dial anyway, and just fucking kill her. And it's such a waste.
I remember being like, whoa!
Yeah.
At the time, because I just didn't see it coming, because why would you do that? Why would you do that? She was such a good character. Why would you kill her?
Yeah.
Again, this film, echoes of grief.
Echoes of grief, yeah. And it is one of the more like kind of like, this film is not going in ways we expect it to go, and it keeps going like that. How did you describe? You had a really good way of describing Helena, which is Phoebe Waller-Bridge's character, because I've just put her as such like a weirdly pompous character. She's just weirdly up herself a lot of the time.
I thought that she had a personality disorder where she couldn't feel empathy.
That's more accurate.
Because she just, the way she was acting it was just to get something out of them. Even to I've forgotten the kid's name that hung around her. She only really seemed to use him, and she didn't seem to generally care about him. She just generally didn't seem to care about anyone at all. From her ex-boyfriend, who was a mafia guy, who she made.
Oh yeah, it was part of like were they in Marrakesh or where were they? No, they were in Tangiers. That was it. They were in Tangiers.
There was somewhere, some big European city.
Yeah.
I don't know. I lose track in this film because my heart wasn't in it. But she was just so difficult to like because she just didn't have any feelings.
Despite proclaiming throughout most of the film that throughout the start of the film and getting, I have such respect for Indiana Jones, I have such respect because you worked with my father, blah, blah, blah.
Again, she's very charismatic, but she just wanted something from him.
Yeah, it's all a big manipulation tactic, and there isn't a big gradual arc to make her
that way.
Less manipulative and more likeable.
Yeah, she was like that through the whole film, and then suddenly it was almost like a switch, and then she suddenly cared about Indiana Jones.
Yeah,
but there was nothing really leading up to that. I think unless there was supposed to be, and I just didn't pick it up. But again, it was odd.
And I guess that is a common trope throughout a lot of action films that we watch, obviously, because you have the sudden the change of heart from a anti-hero or something.
Nothing seemed to lead to this change of heart. It just happened, and I didn't see it coming. I thought she'd just leave him.
I think it's also more pronounced in this film because she is such a kind of blunt force lack of empathy, really. Like it's such a kind of like in your face style of it that it like. And again, Phoebe Waller-Bridge is such a good actor that if that's what she's been asked to do and like been told to do,
she did a good job.
She's done a very good job of it.
I got a feeling she was just in it. She wanted everything for herself, and she didn't give. And everyone around her was just there to be used by her.
Yeah.
I guess she liked the fact that Teddy looked up to her, but she didn't replicate any of those feelings. I think she just liked having him around. Yeah. It's quite dark, really.
Yeah, but there's a whole bunch of like MacGuffin chasing in this film. The thing that really again, the whole film had a sort of dour tone to it, and then we get to the boat. Then we get to the boat.
Oh gosh, I forgot.
It's another scene where they introduce like a cool
Big
character.
star.
Antonio Banderas is on the boat and doesn't get a lot of screen time. Unceremoniously killed off.
Yeah, just
because.
Just like the CIA lady. I'm like, someone else I can focus on that's not depressed or incapable of feeling. It's just someone else that I can be like, this is a character that I can just focus on you and get through this film. And then they go.
Yeah, actually, and you make a good point there, because like someone else we can focus on, the audience can latch onto and be like a kind of like it's the voice of the audience. And what we didn't mention in Temple of Doom is I kind of feel like Short Round is that voice of the audience. He's pointing out the absurdities of what's going on, and he's kind of, because he's just a kid in a wacky situation.
Like, he should not have been there, bless his little cotton socks.
But it is one of those things where you're like, oh yeah, Short Round is like just the voice of the audience there. But there is no voice of the audience in the film, and it's not that every film necessarily needs one, but when you introduce the CIA agent and you then introduce Antonio Banderas, who is this kooky, like,
it was cruel to take them away from me.
Yes, from
specifically me, because I needed them to get through this film, because without it was like I can either focus on the character that feels nothing, or I can focus on the character that feels every sad thing that's ever happened.
Yeah, because
and it was awful.
This boat thing, and I think this is meant to be the scene where Helena gets this sort of empathy and sympathy for Indiana Jones, because they have this late night talk of what happened to Mutt, of what happened to Shia LaBeouf's character.
I didn't want to know.
Because he's not in the film. He's not in the film, and for a large portion of the film, neither is Marion. But apparently... And, like, I don't know the timeline of certain wars, whatever, but Mutt apparently went off to war. I'm assuming Vietnam, but I do not know the time.
It was either Vietnam or Korea. We can't quite...
Yeah, I don't know the dates of either war, so I do not want to say for certain that it's Vietnam or Korea, but, like...
One of them.
They say he's gone off to war and he died... So that is what led to the breakdown of Marion and Indy's marriage, and that's why Marion is no longer in the picture. She's asking for divorce, and in the start of the film, you see divorce papers on the table, like, so you know that's where he's at. But you're just like, because I remember asking my dad about this before we watched the film. I was like, so it's like, like, is Shia LaBeouf going to come back? And my dad gave me a look.
I really wish he'd warned us, because I needed to be warned.
And he just went, I mean, technically he's mentioned. And I was like, you dick. Because, like,
that was awful. When because you feel the grief coming off him. Yeah. And you feel it through the whole film, but I didn't really realise where it was coming from until he said that. Yeah. And then it hit me even harder.
And again, spectacularly acted. Like, Harrison Ford still has the chops for it.
You could feel the grief coming from him even before he said that. And then that's why I was like, that's why I feel this way when I connect with this character.
Yeah, exactly. Because he's just in a depressive state.
Because he's just, his heart's broken. And he's got a hole in his soul.
Basically, yeah. So there's... We're going to get to the crux of the matter now, where the film really lost me. And I went back...
I didn't care at this point. I was dead. It was dead to me after they killed Antonio. I was like, this is it.
It was bad at this point, but it got worse because they followed through on the time travel mechanic, essentially.
But
they found both parts of Archimedes' dial. They kidnapped Indy into a plane.
Reasons.
I think they just like...
I think they just did. I don't even want to talk about why. He's just there.
He's there on the plane with the Nazis. I think it's of some sort of respect from Mads Mikkelsen's character being like, you deserve to see this as well, even though I've shot you and you're about to die. But Phoebe Waller-Bridge ends up sneaking onto the plane as well
She's like, we've got to save him. And I was like, why? You don't care about anyone but yourself. Why do I... At first, I thought maybe she was just going after the dial.
Terry also... Teddy also hijacks a man's plane and follows them as well. And
because he does have a heart.
Yeah, and they all fly up to these coordinates that the dial tells them to go to. And the idea that Mads Mikkelsen's Nazi has in his head is he'll go back and do things differently to Hitler. He wants to basically... Yeah, he basically sees where Hitler went wrong.
And then take over.
Yeah. He sees where Hitler went wrong in losing the war, so he wants to fix that and make the Nazis win the war, and, you know... And you go, okay, character motivation. Okay, got it, cool. That's why you want to do that. However, because it's Archimedes' dial...
he rigged it.
Archimedes has basically rigged his own time travel device so that it takes whoever uses it back to the time of Archimedes. And so you basically have this prolonged scene where they fly through this wormhole, basically.
In space.
Wormhole in the clouds. And they end up with fucking Roman and Greek ships and soldiers firing at each other with a Nazi warplane flying through the sky.
They think it's a dragon and try and shoot it down. It's all... I kind of lost track a bit here because I was depressed.
It's utterly baffling.
I was gone at that point. I was like, I don't care. It was a bit like Need for Speed when we were watching that final race. I was checked out. You didn't look as bored because it certainly I wasn't bored. I was just sad.
It certainly had that. I honestly didn't know what to think at this point. However, it got worse. It got worse because they defeat Indy and Helena escape. They parachute off the plane. Mads Mikkelsen, in stunned silence, basically, is like, oh god, okay, this hasn't done what I wanted it to do. I fucked up.
And he's like, I have no backup plan.
Yeah.
I'm just going to sit here and cry. Yeah, which he basically does. Cries and dies.
The plane crash lands and kills everyone.
Phoebe and Indy manage to parachute down.
And then they meet Archimedes.
He speaks Greek. Ancient Greek.
Some form of Greek that...
Indiana Jones... I guess knows how to speak Greek.
Well, they both know, don't they? They both know how to
speak ancient Greek, despite the fact they don't know how the sounds are supposed to work. But that doesn't matter. I can suspend my disbelief for that part.
So the idea that kind of gets played up a lot is Indy has been shot in this finale, and throughout this entire plane ride has been slowly
dying,
bleeding out and dying. And once they get off the plane, he's very weak, very frail. And he stood face to face with Archimedes, and he's just like, no, I want to die here. I want to live here, and I've got nothing back home. I want to stay here and just live out the rest of my days.
I started freaking out at this point. I don't remember what I said, Fred, but I remember saying stuff like, if he dies here, I will go nuts. I will go nuts, Fred. If this is how this all ends for Indiana Jones, I do not know what I'll do. Luckily... Phoebe heard me.
Yeah, whereas I was in a stunned silence throughout this entire scene because I
was ranting.
I couldn't quite believe what I was watching. I couldn't quite believe that we were having such a, like...
Watching a sad old man die.
Just let me die talk, essentially.
It was
so weird.
So out of place in an Indiana Jones film where he fights so hard to stay alive. I was freaking out. I was like, if he dies here, I don't know. This is just this. I'm not watching the epilogue. I don't care what happens. Luckily, Phoebe Waller-Bridge, Helena, does the only thing in this film that I approve of and punches him.
Yeah, just knocks him the fuck out.
And then takes him back to the future. We don't see how they get back. It doesn't really matter. There's a second plane. We'll just say that they all flew back. Teddy and the Italian. The plane
and they get back up there. Yeah, it's fine.
And they go back, and I want to say there's a happy ending, but it's more just sort of not it doesn't involve him dying in the past. It's the best thing that could be said about it.
The film sort of ends with a reunion of sorts because they decide to bring back, not content with having the happy ending of the, like you said, the happy ending of Indy 4. They want to try and like patch it up and make it work again. So they bring back Karen Allen for, I want to say, literally like 4 minutes of screen time.
I hope they paid her $5 million for that.
$50 million, yeah. Like, I don't care how much.
A million per minute she was on the screen. She deserved that.
Like, but she
at
basically,
that point, it was too late. It wasn't lifting me up at all.
Yeah,
I just felt sad.
And they recreate they have a callback to the first film. It's like, where does it hurt? Oh, where doesn't it hurt? Here, and then a bit here, and
they have
And by that point, you're just like,
they got back together, but
without
I can only assume
it
gets a little bit better for him. But he's still going to be sad until he dies, and
none of them addressing the divorce in the room or the death of Mutt in the room or any, like, you know, like it's just such a, like, it's meant to be played off as like, oh, and they got back together and it was a happy ever after. It's like, no, if Phoebe Waller-Bridge hadn't been there, Indy just would have died in Greece. In like
ancient Greece.
Like, it's
that was before even I was born.
Okay. Oh, it's such a bad film, guys. I don't even know how to like.
I don't watch it if you want to stay happy.
Yeah.
I'd say stop at 4. 4 has a nice ending. It's happy ever after.
It's a D rank of a film. It's a D rank film. It's absolutely atrocious.
It might go. I think this might be the worst film we've ever seen.
No.
Oh, in this.
Oh, in the franchise.
Yeah.
Yes.
No. In the action films we've watched.
I also want to say no as well. I'm gonna go. I like bonus little content here is I'm gonna go and look up.
I would rather watch the Avengers again than this.
You fucking would.
I would. I'm not watching this film ever again. I felt so sad. At least the Avengers, I just felt confused.
Yeah, it's a D rank. It's so depressing. It has no right. It has no place being that depressing.
Why did they do that to him? He deserved to be happy. All the things that he did. Why can't he just be happy?
Apparently, Indiana Jones does not deserve happiness.
That's so sad. What's the chance of the rest of us if he doesn't deserve happiness? He saved a bunch of children.
That's what I also don't get about the IMDb and Metacritic ratings is that they seem to just buy into it and just be like, yep, I want a depressing old man Indiana Jones film. No, you fucking don't, dude.
I don't. Maybe there is someone out there who wants this film, but I can't handle sad things. I can only handle sad films if I go in with the knowledge that it's going to be sad. But this one, I went in thinking, this will be a wonderful, whimsical ride. And that made it worse, because I didn't have any warning.
Yeah, exactly. No, I know exactly how you feel. It's such a baffling...
Oh, poor Indiana Jones.
Well, next week, Lottie, we're going to cheer ourselves
Poor
up with
Marion.
a bunch of... In Marion. We're going to cheer ourselves up with a bunch of volcano films. So
I do love volcano films, yes. Actually, that makes me feel better. Thank you.
We've already watched one of them by the time of recording this, and we have two more.
It was a lot of fun. Nobody died. Apart from the people who did, but I didn't care about them. They're only on the screen for a minute, and none of them were Indiana Jones.
Lots of people. Nobody died except for the people who did. Lottie Barrett, 2024.
I'm just full of quotes.
Yeah. Oh my god. Well, until next time, we're just going to go and think about the depressing finale of Indiana Jones.
Oh, I can't believe it. I was dreading this. Just going back and thinking about that film, but I'm glad we got it out of the way.
Yeah.
If I do listen to this, I'm just going to skip the end.
Skip to the end. You're going to skip past the entire thing.
Yeah.
Right. Well, Lottie's going to go and sink into a depressive sleep.
I think I've got some chocolate. I might eat some of that.
There we go. Right.
Yeah.
It's chocolate time, everybody. Here's your official...
Everyone, stay safe.
Stay safe. Go have some chocolate. And we'll see you all in the next episode.
Bye. Don't watch Indiana Jones 5.
Or 2.
2's okay. Don't watch 5.
No, don't watch 5. 5 sucks.
Bye.
Bye.